so they'll be able to see what I'm talking about here shortly.
Yep. We're on now. Here we go.
So, again, if you're joining us on Facebook Live, meteorologist Dave Dirks with Ricky Matthews, talking about a couple of strong to severe storms now moving, barreling, I guess would be a good term, because they're moving northeast about 65 miles per hour. So that storm not close right now necessarily to Norton and Wise, for example, but it will be shortly. That's how fast these things are moving. But near Clinchport and Okolona, as I was talking about, there's kind of two segments of this cell that is being warned for. One's coming through the Rogersville area, Highway 1, Highway 70 near Idson, and Surgoinsville, Highway 11W, of course, 66. That storm just coming through now with some gusty winds, heavy rain, maybe a little thunder and lightning in Rogersville. But what seems to be happening maybe now is that the northern extent of this storm is becoming more intense. All right, you can see on the reflectivity that there is some purple showing up here. In fact, we can maybe take a look at the hail. All right, so this is our hail tracker. It doesn't look like necessarily large hail. Zoom in a little tighter here. You can see just a hint of some green. This is in Hawkins County. There's New Maple Church, Cold Springs, Midway School. These areas probably seeing at least some small hail. The blue indicating maybe some pea size. The green, which is kind of, let me see here, right in this zone right here, maybe toward Hickman Hollow Road, maybe a little larger hail. But Ricky, it doesn't look like damaging hail necessarily going to be a big threat with these storms. I think the wind potential, maybe some damaging thunderstorm wind gusts is the main danger.
Yeah, more than likely the storm goes up and then it kind of collapses a little bit. We've got our chroma key, I think, punched up too.
Okay.
If we want to use that. So why don't, if you want to dry the radar for a minute, I'll just kind of jump in here and talk about some of the areas that we're looking for. So right here, now kind of in more Scott County instead, I think, is going to be the area we're most concerned about for some of the strongest winds heading right towards Duffield. So as you go along 23, this is basically from around Clinchport into Duffield, right near Natural Tunnel State Park, and also into the areas where the bridge comes across there, the big train bridge. That's where this storm is right now, quickly moving up to the north and east. So the main concern with this would be some gusty winds, some heavy rainfall, ponding of water on roadways, not the best driving conditions with these storms, and maybe even some small pea-sized hail. Dave switched it over to velocity mode, and right down here, basically right where those the potential for the hail was, is also where we could see some of those strong gusty winds with this storm as it pushes to the north and east. There's a ton of wind energy in the atmosphere today, a lot of wind energy aloft, and when these storms get up to 10, 20,000 feet, they're able to tap into some of that energy and then quickly bring it down to the surface. When you get those big, heavy downpours, a lot of times it can bring the wind down with it as well. So all this area right through here is where the wind is right now. And that's going to be moving up towards Duffield, towards the Clinchport area, right along US 23, basically between Clinchport and Duffield. That'd be the area of most concern. Dave, with a lot of people asking about their areas, why don't we kind of widen out the view a little bit, and we'll kind of reset everything as we approach the 7 o'clock hour here, about 9 minutes before the top of the hour here.
Incidentally, that severe thunderstorm warning continues until 7 o'clock for Hawkins County as well as the eastern portion of Hancock County. So there's still, even though we were talking about, Ricky, that it looks like maybe the more severe part of the storm has shifted into Scott County, there still is a strong to severe storm moving through areas along 11W in Hawkins County, nearing Surgoinsville, for example.
Yeah, powerful storm, certainly still moving across there. So now it's moved out of Rogersville. If you're in Rogersville, you're probably still seeing a little bit of light to moderate rainfall, but I think for the most part, we can kind of give you the all clear in Rogersville as some of that wind energy is now pushed to the north and east. So basically between Belvins, and Surgoinsville towards Cold Springs, Piney Grove area, and eventually Okolona. That's where that stronger storm's going to be pushing up your direction. And then still watching that storm right here that we talked about a minute ago, now approaching the Clinchport area. These things are moving so fast. They're moving about 65 miles per hour overall, which means that you don't have a whole lot of time before they come into your area. This is pretty much the only severe storm at this hour that we're watching, but we're also monitoring a few lines of showers and storms here now starting to get going in Russell County. This storm up here, Dave, is actually pretty interesting. This one is a very powerful storm. Weather Service in Jackson didn't warn it, but now the Weather Service in Charleston Charleston, West Virginia, deciding to warn it. It is north of our viewing area, north of Hurley, into portions of West Virginia. I believe that is going to be McDowell County and maybe parts of...
It's moving out of Pike County near Phelps and McCarr into the southern part of West Virginia. So that storm, like you mentioned, the dangerous part of that storm, likely to stay even north of Hurley, probably avoiding Buchanan County altogether, at least the intense part of that storm. But you're right, it's being warned for, though, around Gilbert and Oceana and Amherstdale in West Virginia. So severe thunderstorm warning there. But the showers with heavy rain are also affecting areas around Norton and Wise and Coburn, Clintwood, Birchleaf. We can even zoom a little tighter here, and you can see Fremont and Clinchco under the gun as well, and extending into Wise County, around Norton, over High Knob, I should say, and into Russell County, too. We're seeing some heavy rains along Highway 71, just to the west of Hansonville and off to the southeast of Castlewood. But these storms are going to be racing up toward Cleveland and Lebanon here over the next 15 minutes or so. And then as we go southbound, Mendota, just to the west of Benhams, and along Highway 58, 421, just to the east of Hilton's in Scott County, some heavy rain falling, and also in the Kingsport area around Central Heights Elementary School, in Sullivan County toward Indian Springs, just to the west now, the heaviest rain of the airport, that's the TRI, but obviously Interstate 81, unpleasant travel right now, at least for portions of it in Sullivan County, also impacting Interstate 26 at the crossing there. We got areas just to the east now, Fall Branch, some heavy rain in Washington County, Tennessee, near Gray and Sulphur Springs, still west of the Ridges Golf Course. But if you are out and about, have some friends or perhaps know somebody that might be doing a little outdoor activity, you might want to let them know that some storms are definitely moving in, because it was actually quite pretty this afternoon for a large part of the day. But as fast as these storms are moving, it's not really doing much at all. Elizabeth, it looks like a little tiny shower between Elizabeth and Hunter. It's not really doing anything in Bristol, Sugar Hollow Park, South Holston Lake, but these storms are moving so fast. I would imagine be encompassing just about all the Tri-Cities area, including Jonesboro and Johnson City, Piney Flats, Bluff City, Hampton, Irwin, all these areas within the next half hour to an hour.
Something I'm noting here, Dave, I'll grab the mouse from my other computer here real quick, and I want to turn on the lightning because on a different source that I was looking at here. Oops, hang on. You got it or me?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. I'll turn it on. There we go. What I want to show you down here is how we're seeing a few more lightning strikes now ongoing. I'll make these a little bit bigger so you can kind of pick out where they are better. But a lot of times we look at where these lightning strikes are to kind of indicate maybe where some of the stronger storms are starting to develop. So just right here across portions of the eastern part of Greene County, a strong storm going up there. That'll be moving towards Jonesboro and Johnson City. And this one, Dave, just looks like it's starting to get going here too, a little bit further north into parts of Russell County. Maybe another strong storm ongoing there. And of course, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Hawkins County until around 7 o'clock.
I think they're going to extend that northward, perhaps.
We're just getting an update right now from the National Weather Service.
All right, so this is just an update from the National Weather Service. The severe thunderstorm warning for Hawkins and northeastern Hancock County expires at 7. So that has expired, and they say the latest information from the National Weather Service is that it has weakened below severe limits and no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. So, with that said, Ricky, there are no warnings now within the viewing area.
No, just a whole lot of heavy rain in spots and probably some
I still
dark
be
skies
kind of careful with that. Go back to the north a little bit up into Russell County here. I mean, this storm. I mean, these still mean business, even though we may not have an official severe thunderstorm warning here, stretching from Mendota up toward Hansonville, up toward Cleveland. Notice the lighter shades of green right through there. The velocity. Could be some strong winds, maybe, what do you think, 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts?
Yeah,
out of that storm, potentially around Hansonville, for example, in Russell
there.
County. And also maybe some small hail. Ricky had shown some of the cloud to ground lightning strikes that were increasing. It was in this thunderstorm here, right, that was we're starting to see some
we
increase
had,
in
we
the
had two. We had this one here that I was watching.
Right.
And then also this one down here, the one that's going to be approaching Johnson City and Jonesboro here.
So 11E
shortly.
here, going to be rough here from just east of Tusculum, north of South Central toward Limestone, Telford. This moving in this direction about 65 miles per hour. So from Sulphur Springs to Jonesboro, Telford, also Lamar going to get in on the action as well. Of course, that means Boones Creek along Interstate 26 is going to be impacted shortly, as well as the Johnson City area. Eventually, of course, Interstate 26 in Unicoi County. I mean, we're pretty confident that everybody's going to see probably a period of, at the very least, some rain, maybe heavy rain, some gusty winds, not necessarily thinking that we're going to see a lot of damage necessarily, but there still is that threat, obviously, for that.
Kind of bouncing between two radars there. We bounced between the Jackson radar and the Morristown radar for a second.
I didn't hear what you said.
So we were kind of bouncing between two radars there. That's why it looked a little different for a second. We basically have 5 radars we use here. We've got one down here, one over here, one over here. There's another one in West Virginia, and there's one south here that we use to kind of cover our area. So
I
sometimes
mean, it's kind of a unique situation where we live. Is the mountains sometimes get in the way of allowing radar to get a good view of what's going on. So it's, you know, they're strategically located in such a way that we can, you know, get a composite view of the entire region by looking at those 5 different radars. We can set them wherever we want, National Weather Service radar. But like you said, Ricky, Jackson, Kentucky has one that points into Southwest Virginia. We have one in Morristown, of course, and that covers a good part of Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. One in Greenville, Spartanburg area, and also in the Blacksburg area. And you said we had the Charleston, West Virginia one turned on as well.
I've got Nashville turned on right now.
Nashville
Yeah,
turned on. And notice that the threat of severe weather has actually been quite a bit more intense off to our east. We've been tracking and noticing a lot of tornado warnings, not a lot, but a number of them in parts of North Carolina and Virginia east of us during the course of the afternoon and evening. And here is one of those warnings now that is in effect for what county? That's Bedford and Botetourt counties in Southwest Virginia. Of course, that storm moving away, but getting close to Natural Bridge. That's a nice little beautiful place to visit. Up toward Lexington, that storm is going to be moving in that direction. So it's kind of like these storms are scattered about really in any direction, especially north and east of us. Things are beginning to quiet down west of us now into portions of Kentucky. In fact, you said that they dropped the tornado watch in southeast Kentucky for a couple counties?
They did, and so basically I'd say for Harlan County, Leslie, Letcher counties, basically from about Jonesville west and south, I'd say the severe weather risk is over there.
Yeah.
It's really, this line is moving through now that is our main potential to produce any strong to severe weather across the area. So we'll continue to monitor these storms as they move through. Right now, none of them are at severe limits, but certainly still a few storms that have a bit of a punch to them, Dave, and certainly some that are producing some heavy rainfall, some lightning, and maybe some strong gusty winds in spots as well.
So at this point, like you said, there are no warnings. Let me get my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. In the metro area right now, we can show some heavy downpours pushing along the Greene and Washington County line. So this is going to be some intense rain. You know, may not produce severe weather necessarily, but some gusty winds, and will likely slow travel down at the very least on Interstate 26, for example, and right now on Interstate 81 as well, and that along 11E, for example, also as we move through parts of Washington County, Tennessee, and right along the Greene County border.
Let's bring up some of our cameras here. This is our town view camera, which is going to be looking kind of southwest here, west from Johnson City.
Put in our also the camera of our Southwest Virginia mountain cams. That's got some interesting look to it right now.
Okay. What is beeping there? Sorry, I heard a sound come across one of our systems, and I was like, what is that?
I mean, you can see the rain
Yes, let's put it in the Southwest
over
Virginia side.
Mendota and Big Gay Mountain. Doesn't look like much happening now on Keene Mountain, but just kind of a pretty shot.
Hopefully this
you
loads
know.
up right there. Nope, it did not. All right, we will take Mid-02 instead. There you go. Now we've got our shots. So you're looking at Keene Mountain on the top right, Big A Mountain on the top left, and then Mendota at the bottom left side here of your monitor. You see the rain coming down in Mendota, and you can see the rain far in the distance there in Keene Mountain with all the rain coming down across portions of Buchanan County towards Clintwood, and then Big A Mountain about to get eclipsed with rain as well. So a lot of rainfall with these storms, a lot of heavy downpours with these storms.
I'm going to go ahead and I want to do the future track. What hit was that we used earlier?
It was our HRRR model. Main weather is the one I had it in.
I don't see this in here.
Yeah, it should be main weather, evening main weather. Yep.
All right, hey. Okay, so people were kind of wanting to know the timing of all of this. Of course, it's ongoing. I mean, we're right in the midst of the rain and thunder, so I mean, it's not. I guess we're not going to surprise anybody. In fact, this actually might be a little bit kind of lagging behind as far as the eastward movement of the precipitation as it stands right now. But around 7 o'clock right now, we're looking at these showers and storms continuing to push from west to east across our area. I think that might be a little bit slow too. I think it's going to be farther east than that by 8 o'clock as well. But in any event, the thing I guess we want to get at is by around 9:30 to 10:30 or 11 o'clock, as that severe thunderstorm watch expires at 10 o'clock, you can see our short-term forecast models suggesting that the threat of severe weather is going to be coming to an end. And as Ricky, you pointed out, we are almost confident, pretty confident, not saying there couldn't be any more thunder showers develop, because there are a few back to the west, but the threat of severe weather is basically going to be with these two lines right here. We got the one that's stretching from near Clintwood down to near Bulls Gap, Mossheim, and then we got the second line of rain and thunderstorms coming through the Tri-Cities, coming near Lebanon and Bristol and getting close to Johnson City. This area right here is where, if we're going to have some additional warnings, it's going to be within those two lines of showers and storms coming through. Back to the west, in this area right here, the threat of severe weather, including the Knoxville area, London, appears to be diminishing. And that will be the case here. We'll just see that threat diminishing from west to east here over the next couple of hours. But obviously right now, as I kind of get my mess off the radar here, we're getting hammered with some heavy rain now and probably some gusty winds across much of the metro area.
Yeah, I'm back here. I'm trying to load some of our cameras up and just kind of swing them around as the camera goes crazy on me. If you could pull up the Holiday Inn camera there on Max 1, I'll then kind of pan it around and show you what we've got going on and show you the tale of two cities here. Meteorologist Sydney Welch joining us now with Christy as well walking in. They're just getting back from earlier when they were out in the weather car.
Yes, hello. We actually saw a whole bunch when we were out there. We did a little trip, Kingsport, Churchill, Mount Carmel. We saw trees down due to the winds. We saw some rain and then heavier rain and winds. We saw it all. We saw sunshine when we first left even, so we really saw it all.
I
ended that Facebook Live on the other thing, Dave.
Oh, so we're just on.
We're just on the Chroma stuff now.
All right, so where did I put that Holiday Inn cam?
If you can pull that up, I'll show you what we've got.
I had to unlock it from your computer. That's why it took forever.
Oh, I gotcha.
All right, should be coming up very, very shortly.
I see it there. All right, so we're going to take a little tour here from our Holiday Inn camera in Johnson City. They are now looking over towards where the Johnson City Honda place is on Roan Street there. Now I'm going to pan a little bit further left. Here's Roan Street. You're looking, as we go back this way, more towards North State of Franklin. And then here is the kind of the leading edge of those storms, right below where it says Holiday Inn. That's where the strongest storms are now. We'll take it back further towards the west. This is going to be looking more southwest towards the Johnson City Mall. And you can see the sky is certainly dark and a little bit ominous there, but the heavier storms are actually over this way as we go back to the right.
Yeah, it's crazy. One half of the sky was very ominous and the other half was sunny. And
Should get you mic'd up.
saw some clouds.
It almost looks like we got a shelf cloud potentially going up there, Dave. Just below
Yeah, it looks
Holiday
like
Inn.
it.
I wonder if see if I can spot it on the camera. It looks like it may be a shelf cloud. And a lot of times these shelf clouds can be indicative of strong gusty winds that will be moving into your area. So I'm going to keep our camera kind of oriented this way, and we'll watch that in the back as we switch over to radar once again and show you that line of storms on the radar.
And so, Sydney, you guys were getting tree damage from earlier today, right?
Yes.
That was, I'm going to get you up here, I guess, so they can hear you.
Yes.
And you got some pictures. Well,
Yeah, so we got pictures. We went to Walmart on West Stone Drive in Kingsport, and there was a car that was just parked in a parking space, and due to some wind gusts, a tree was knocked onto the car. They said that when they first saw the tree on the car before crews showed up, you couldn't even see the car. It was a car underneath just a bunch of branches, but then they had a crew there that was cleaning it all up. And it also ruined a cart in one of the photos as well. You can see a shopping cart completely crushed.
I don't
by
think
this
they can
tree.
see that.
Oh, yeah, well.
We're gonna work on getting it up here in a second.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it was,
This is on our Facebook, the WCYB Facebook
and
page
it,
as well.
and it was kind of unique to the situation, because you know, you see that we're going to get those pictures on, but when you see a tree on a car, you think maybe a thunderstorm had just come
Yeah.
through and caused that to happen. But these were non-thunderstorm wind gusts that were causing damage and power outages around the area.
Yeah, and we actually had a few power outage reports near Mount Carmel Elementary School, and that was due to another tree that was down. It is crazy because the gusts were up to 50 miles per hour, which is some pretty hefty gusts, but when you then get into thunderstorm territory, you can expect gusts higher.
As a matter of fact, well,
than
we could
that.
put up,
Before we do that, Dave, hang on
Okay.
one second. I do want to point out this stronger storm here now across parts of Russell County. This is going to be right north of Lebanon, and we'll zoom into this a little bit tighter. And because this storm, once again, just like the storm that we were watching over towards Scott County earlier, has kind of got a little bit of a core going up on it, and the potential here, once again, for some strong gusty winds between Cleveland and Lebanon. That'll be moving up towards Honeacre. So heads up in Russell County, seeing this storm strengthen just a little bit. No watches or no warnings with this storm at this time, but as
but there
Dave
is kind of an
puts on
interesting looking,
the velocity here.
I mean, that's not particularly strong, but
No, I think we're off the radar in Jackson, Kentucky for this storm.
this one here, okay, so.
Yeah.
Let me see if we can get back down here. There we go.
We probably want to be off the Jackson radar. just 'cause
This
it's gonna be
isn't
closer.
Jackson here. This is.
No, this would be Morristown.
Yeah, this is Morristown right here.
yeah,
But I
it'll-
mean, we're getting really far from Morristown, so even though you see those bright yellow colors, which would indicate strong winds, the radar beam is really high at this
Yeah.
point.
We're over 10,000 feet.
Yeah,
actually.
so I mean, that wind speed that is being estimated by Doppler radar says 70 miles per hour, but the radar beam for Morristown, because of the curvature of the Earth, is way above the surface at this point.
Yeah, so let's go a little bit further north, Dave, once again, if we can. It's
Do you
gonna
want,
switch.
you want to leave it on velocity, or?
It'll switch back over. It's just going to default on whichever one's closest,
Right.
and that's fine that it defaults to that one here, because you're right here be where the wind is. So that's kind of a diverging wind signature as it moves up to the northeast here. So that tells me there could be some strong, gusty downburst winds ongoing with this storm. So heads up in Honeacre, heads up between Cleveland and Honeacre. That's the area of concern right now for any possible severe weather there and maybe a stronger storm. I also want to zoom out a little bit more here if we can and kind of show you what's going on further north. Right here, this one, right to the north and west of Hurley, watching a storm there. It's right on the Virginia-Kentucky line that has some
It looks like there's some
strong
wind
wind
shear,
and
that,
rain.
some interesting shear there as well on the leading edge of that.
it's got a little rotation
Yeah.
with it. Red going away from the radar, green coming towards the radar.
So I mean, it's not at this point causing bells and whistles to go off at the National Weather Service, but indicative of the amount of shear and helicity and all that we've had. The ingredients were there for for severe weather to pop up, but thankfully a lot of these storms kind of stayed back while those weather parameters, the indices that we look at to see whether there's going to be tornado potential. The storms, thankfully, for the most part, stayed west while that most unstable part of the day was occurring. And now, as we go into the evening, those high values of shear and helicity will be pushing off to the east. But I would say, at least for the next couple of hours, we have to be alert to the possibility maybe of an isolated tornado. Not a huge chance at this point. I think the Storm Prediction Center earlier in the day had us at a 5% risk within a 25-mile period radius.
Yep.
And then when they came out with their afternoon update, the Storm Prediction Center, they lowered it to a 2% risk of a tornado for our region within a 25-mile radius of a particular point. So we just have to keep an eye on little discrete storms like this one that's coming through Russell County for the possibility of some rotation developing within the line of storms itself. But at this point, we do not even have any severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, which is a trend that we like. We had one for parts of Greene, Hancock, and Hawkins County about an hour ago or so, maybe not even quite that much, about 45 minutes ago. And that storm moved up through Scott County and is affecting now areas of Wise County. And then some of these stronger storms that had been moving through, Kingsport and just west of Bristol, flaring up here in Russell County. I don't know if we can zoom in to that particular cell, and then let's go down to maybe Johnson City and look
Which
at
one do you
some
want to go
of those. The one in Russell County, real quick.
Okay.
That's
That one there?
yeah.
Okay.
So this here, and you can see on the reflectivity a little area of purplish pink showing up. That's where we're looking at the higher. The vertical movement in the storm, and it would be the center part of that core of the storm, if you will, where we might be looking at the possibility of some hail. I don't know, Sydney, you are now driving the radar. Can you put the hail tracker up there?
Yes.
And let's just see what it's saying as far as any hail potential. This storm right now kind of between Cleveland, Lebanon, Rosedale, and Honaker. So this is coming right up toward Honaker along Highway 80 and going over Big A Mountain. But yeah, okay, so this, whoop,
Sorry about that one.
it's all right. I do that all the time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get that hail tracker.
All right.
Um,
And some, look like about maybe 5 or 6 recent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes as well. But the green, all right, so the blue in general would indicate maybe some pea-sized hail, and there's little shades of green here as well, kind of, and this is a little bit old, all right? The next scan will probably have this moving up here. But in any event, maybe some pea to perhaps penny-sized hail would be possible, maybe nickel-sized hail, according to this analysis on our storm tracker. But in any event, let's go ahead and put back on the radar, and we'll kind of head southbound. Let's go toward northeast Tennessee. Some of the heavier rains now pushing through Sullivan County, right here along Interstate 81 near Bluntville. And that extends down into Washington County along Interstate 26. So we got some major road thoroughfares here that are getting pelted with some heavy rain. Is obviously can avoid this, I would do so. It's not going to last all that long, but definitely some intense rainfall. Zoom into the Johnson City area. Let's just see how close that rain is now. See if we can get really tight and get some landmarks on here. There's ETSU. We got Jonesboro 11E right here. There's Boones Creek, the Ridges Golf Course. We've got Watauga right here. Milligan College, still mainly west of the Elizabethton area, but fast approaching. So things are definitely wet and wild now in much of the Johnson City area with some heavy downpours. Again, I want to stress we don't have a warning with it right now, but there could be obviously some gusty winds, especially with this area now pushing east toward the Johnson City area, up toward Boones Creek and Oak Grove. That's where the heaviest rain is falling in the Johnson City area. Let's pull back a little bit and take a look at the Bristol area and see what we got as far as that heavy rain extending through Sullivan County and also into Washington County, Virginia, near Benhams, from near Benhams right on through Bristol Regional Medical Center. There's Virginia High School. We got Bristol Caverns over here. Here's South Holston Lake, Painter Spring, Gray Acres. There's Bristol Motor Speedway, Bluntville, and then extending up towards Central Heights Elementary School. So some heavy showers. These aren't looking terribly threatening as far as wind is concerned, though there is a pretty heavy cell right near Bluntville along Interstate 81. let's go ahead and kind of pull back, give a little broader view of how this is kind of panning out through the southern part of the metro area. Got some new activity also pushing through parts of Greene County. There's Bayleton back up into Hawkins County. So while Rogersville is kind of in the clear as far as the heavy rain, this is moving along 11W. Burgensville, going to be heading back up toward Churchill, Mount Carmel, and then the extension of that heavy rain also into parts of Greene County. Some moderate rains at times, non-severe here across the southern and central part of Greene County, but if we can zoom in a little tighter to the cell that's moving across Interstate 81 near Bayleton, and we can say there's Mossheim getting some heavy rain as well as this storm pushes off to the northeast. These things have been moving really fast. They've been pushing off to the northeast at about 65 miles per hour. That's why, you know, we were you're kind of looking outside late this afternoon, Ricky and Sydney. We were all here kind of analyzing the situation, what we thought was going to be happening before the storm moved in. The sun was shining, and we were thinking, wow, this is awesome. But I hope people aren't getting their guard down, because it's as fast as these storms were moving. Once they did develop, they've really been overspreading the area pretty quickly. But guys, we've been pretty fortunate that so far we've only had to have one warning, and that was for parts of Hawkins and Hancock County.
Yeah, and of course, remember, a warning's issued for winds that get up to 58 miles per hour, and a lot of these storms are producing winds around 40 to at times 50 miles per hour. So we're still seeing some strong winds, some heavy rainfall, and some lightning across the area, but not reaching that criteria yet that is deemed severe by the Weather Service officially. But just keep in mind that these storms still can produce some pretty significant severe weather in terms of what a lot of people consider severe weather. So the storm near Honaker, one of the stronger ones right now, we're watching that one for sure, with the potential to produce some hail potentially and also some gusty winds. That one quickly racing off to the north and east, so we'll put a storm track on that one. It's moving about 50, 60 miles per hour as well. So not too much time in the Richlands area. 728 is when I expect to move into there. Whitewood 732, the Harmon community 734, and Pleasant Hill at 733.
And one thing I noticed when I was out on the road is all of a sudden you start seeing the ominous clouds, and then quickly it starts to sprinkle. So you think that you have a little bit of time, but no, it went from sprinkling to pouring rain within a matter of 5 seconds, 6 seconds. So as we were driving, all of a sudden we were like, wow, we should pull over. The visibility got really rough. The sky.
Speak of that.
Yeah, that's a lot of what it looked like. It was super heavy rain, and we were going about half the speed limit, and people around us we were all trying to take precautions, but some people were riding a little bit too closely behind us and things like that for the conditions. So definitely be safe if you if you have to be outside.
I mean, I want everybody to see how that's wind-driven rain too. If you look at the Home Depot sign and then look to the right, you can see the sheets of rain blowing through now the North State of Franklin area in northern Johnson City.
Yeah, this is the kind of rain that even if you have an umbrella and you think you can run outside really quick, you're going to get wet. Your umbrella could actually, your umbrella definitely, if it's not sturdy enough, you say goodbye to that umbrella, because it was coming down pretty sideways for us as well when we were headed back from Kingsport.
Yeah, so it's coming down pretty fast.
So that's the storm there that is moving into Johnson City at this hour. I'm going to leave the camera up here. And then we'll jump onto the radar in a moment and show you where it is. So let's go back to the radar. We can even probably double box this almost in terms of the radar and the camera. Just give me a second to set it up. You see the radar there overall. So let's zoom into the Johnson City area. There's the storm that is moving across those areas. I'll get it back to our one radar image, and I'll put our camera on here for you so you can kind of watch this as it moves in. Hopefully our software wants to work with us tonight here.
There you go.
That was a little too big. Hang on. Trial and error here, folks. We'll get it. There we go. So some of the heaviest rain is now pushed east of our camera, but you still can see the downpours for sure along North State of Franklin Road in Johnson City. And all of that heading towards Bluff City, Piney Flats, Bristol area.
But even as we look at it now, compared to what it was just a minute ago, I mean, that's how
quick it comes
fast this
through.
stuff has been moving. I mean, it's still raining on North State of Franklin here, but no longer the wind-driven sheets of rain that was pretty awesome to look at. I'm sure it was a nightmare to have to travel in that area over the last couple of minutes. But this is a pretty narrow band of heavy rain. It's not going to last long, but obviously you're going to know that it's raining when it comes through. But that just came through North Charleston City that we showed you there on a North State of Franklin cam from the Bank of Tennessee. But we've got the similar conditions playing out across central and eastern portions of Sullivan County as well. This is Interstate 81 near the exit, Fort Henry Drive
area.
exit.
I'm going to try to load the 81-26 split here. That's the one I'm trying to get up.
Looks like the rain not particularly heavy there. This is the split here, the interchange of Interstate 81, Interstate 26. Seems like that is improved from what it probably was not too many minutes ago. Still some wet roads, still some showers, but doesn't particularly look like it's all that heavy. I wonder if the Bristol Motor Speedway cam would
Not yet,
be good
but it will be
shortly.
shortly.
Yeah,
That's our next camera in line that'll probably pick
because
this up
that
the
is
best.
that area of higher reflectivity, the red that I showed you that was moving through Sullivan and Washington County in Tennessee, that's moving east and will be involving one of our cameras at Bristol Motor Speedway shortly. So
I'm going to load this up first, Dave, because they've extended that severe thunderstorm watch up to the north and east. If you've been on Facebook Live with us for a while, we talked about the potential for that. And basically every county in our viewing area, that's not a Kentucky county, now under a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning conditions are favorable for severe weather.
So, I mean, before it was all northeast Tennessee, most of southwest Virginia, but Dickinson, Buchanan, Tazewell, Smith, Grayson were not in the watch, nor were Ashe and Watauga counties in North Carolina, Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey were. I think it's almost irrelevant I mean, it's not irrelevant in the sense that you're under a watch, but we've been telling you all afternoon, these counties aren't under a watch necessarily, but the same kind of bad weather will be happening here as they are down here, and we've seen that play out with some of those storms. But the good news is, even though the entire area is under a watch until 10 o'clock, we haven't had to issue or talk about more than but just one warning. And that tornado watch that was in effect for southeast Kentucky, that's dropped off the map as well. So no tornado watch in Kentucky. Severe thunderstorm watch still in effect for Tennessee and southwest Virginia. Here's our Bristol Motor Speedway cam. Nice little breeze here. You can see from the flag moving around. Rain not terribly heavy at this point, but let's put the radar on just and kind of zoom into BMS to see how close that downpour is to Bristol Motor Speedway.
The reason we use a lot of these markers sometimes like BMS and places like that is because a lot of people know where these are, right? And so when we're talking about these locations, it kind of gives you a good visual of where the storms are. I'm kind of doing some work behind the scenes here. Bear with me for a second.
Yeah, and you can say what you know what Bristol Motor Speedway usually looks like. So when the visibility is really low and you can barely see things.
I would say, all right, so there's 11E. So
It's going to load in here in a second. We're switching sources from one of our other sources. Work behind the scenes. There we go.
I'm
Now we
getting
got it.
dizzy.
Hey, check this out, Dave.
Ooh.
All right, that looks intense, doesn't it? That's in Scott County, just north of Hilton's, right along, that's Highway 71, isn't it? Yeah, north of Hilton's, near Nicholsville. This is probably already over Nicholsville, but notice the core of the darker colors. Definitely some intense rain and some gusty winds moving through Scott County at this point in time, around Snowflake and McConnell, Kearns Chapel, these areas, Twin Springs, definitely some heavy rain. I wouldn't be surprised either if we're getting perhaps a little small hail from that cell now racing through Scott County, but certainly some very heavy rain. So traveling along Highway State Route 71, there's Dorton Fort, and you see some of these smaller roads. There's Crackers Neck, these areas under the gun in Scott County as well. Pushing quickly off to the east, and here's the velocity field from the Morristown radar, and this is where that heavier rain was that you saw on the reflectivity, the darker colors of pink and so forth. And you can see kind of what looks like a broad area of wind shear with that storm cell moving through Scott County.
It's amazing to me how quick some of these storms are pulsing up. That's the reason we're staying with you here as these storms move through, because they're pulsing up quickly, but almost as quickly as they pulse up, they're kind of collapsing sometimes too.
Yeah,
But
they haven't necessarily had a history of, like long-lived. Sometimes you can get these supercells that develop in an environment, atmospheric environment, like we have had today across much of the eastern United States, southeastern United States. But these storms, sometimes you get these long-lived supercells that can travel dozens and even hundreds of miles. Well, it might be a little bit too much, but can sustain the strength and so forth as it moves for many miles. But like you said, Ricky, a lot of these storms, they pulse up and then they kind of do their thing, and then they kind of pulse back down. So while they do have some strong and even occasionally some severe aspects to them, they haven't stayed. You see how this
721 to
right
728, 7 minutes.
That's amazing. And I bet in another 7 minutes, it probably is going to be pulsing back down.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, that's just been the history of these storms as we've gone through the afternoon, late afternoon, and into the evening hours as well. But still, heavy rain is, we're at BMS. Let's get to see how close that.
Okay, I'll try to load up our camera again. Stand by.
It's got to be about right on top of BMS. It's just heavier core.
It's pretty close.
If you zoom in a little bit tighter, you might be able to see.
I'm going to throw our camera on there, and then we'll zoom in closer. There we go. We're back to Nicholsville. Let's go back down here. Even on the south side there, Dave, near Piney Flats, Bluff City,
yeah.
BMS is right there. You see the little identifier now for the track.
So, I mean, if we put the camera up,
okay,
it's probably going to be pouring, or it will be shortly. I mean, we got some showers, obviously, over BMS, but the intense rain is just on top of Bristol Motor Speedway and other areas as well, traveling south on 11E, Bluff City, Gross Crossroad, Piney Flats. Definitely some heavy rain here near Piney Flats on the Sullivan-Washington County line.
Try to load it up.
Sometimes it takes that camera a little time to.
It's pouring. I can see it on our other source here. It's coming down.
It's raining so hard at Bristol Motor Speedway that it's black. It's black.
Well, if that doesn't come up in a second, I'll take it through AWS because it. Let's take it through there. There you go.
All right. So it's still not. It's struggling to kind of stream live there, but you can see the flag blowing pretty good, and definitely from the last time when they showed this view from Bristol Motor Speedway, it's raining a whole lot harder than it was just a few minutes ago. So just kind of the nature of these showers and storms this evening, definitely some heavy rain. And
we got a report of some pea-sized hail in the Gray community. So we've been talking about the potential for some of that small hail tonight. It looks like we're seeing that with some of these storms pushing through. There's the camera. Now it's loading a little better. It struggles sometimes to get going, especially in inclement weather like this. But certainly 2 strong storms now, Dave, that are very intense that I think we can kind of pinpoint here. I'm going to go back up to one of our other sources, and we'll load up our severe weather hit.
so you can see there. Here's the Earhart campground on either side of Volunteer Parkway, but that's the stream that causes people not to be happy when it's raining, when it's race weekend and we got camping, and we don't want to have heavy rain obviously during that, but it has happened not too far off the distant past where we had some flooding during race weekend. But I think the rain moving fast enough that I don't think we're going to have a significant threat of flooding. I think there could be some localized flooding for a short period of time with some of these storms that move across the area. So here's the storm that's in Scott County, and Ricky put a track on here. It's moving off to the northeast. Are they still moving at 60, 65 miles per hour?
Pretty much. They're racing very quickly off.
And so it's pretty much going to be on top of if it already isn't, St. Paul and Castlewood, and then continuing to push off to northeast to include Dickinsonville and Cleveland, Hansonville, Lebanon, so forth. So many of these areas have actually seen several rounds, or at least one heavy round of rain already, and so we're seeing another one push into Russell County from Scott County and Washington County, Virginia as well. You can see pretty heavy rain now. We will know when it's raining here at the station because it'll sound crazy loud. I don't know if everybody out there in Facebook land will be able to hear it, but it hasn't started. This has not arrived downtown Bristol yet, because we will definitely hear it here in the studio. But here are some areas that are going to be seeing the heavy rain shortly. It'd be King University, Bristol Caverns, Abingdon. It's happening as we speak.
Yep,
There
we're
it is.
starting to hear
Heard
it.
it.
All right, Emory and Henry, Johnston Memorial Hospital, Glade Spring, Damascus, 7 Mile Ford. Of course, by the time we get to 7 Mile Ford, we're talking this already pushing in this direction to Smith County. But it's moving quick to Smith County, so our friends in Smith County are going to get on the action as well.
It's coming.
But like you said, it looks like there's maybe two cells of concern yet for possible stronger or maybe even severe thunderstorm warnings. We don't have any, but the two areas that we're watching moving out of Scott County and into Russell County, the eastern tip of Wise County around St. Paul, for example, is getting in on that. Castlewood in Russell County as well. And moving through the Bristol area right now, as I mentioned, into Sullivan County. And then we got a pretty decent little cell. We don't want to ignore this one because that is moving into the Kingsport area of Sullivan County, moving from Hawkins County toward the Kingsport area. So that will be impacting Interstate 26 again in Sullivan County. But notice that we're seeing the back edge of these showers. The threat of severe weather really, I think, comes to an end once this area of rain passes off to your east. So severe threat ending in Norton and Wise. It looks like ending up toward the Clintwood area, Rogersville, back toward Jonesville and Cumberland and Harlan. But still, we still have that threat potentially of an isolated severe thunderstorm warning for these areas that are ongoing at this hour with the rain. And I just hear a little rumble of thunder
lightning
too.
Thunder?
Not a lot of thunder and lightning with these storms, but you could see some of these lightning strikes. And there have been a handful or two. You might, if you could make them just a little bit bigger.
Yep, we'll do a query there. 21 strikes.
So 21 lightning strikes recently, and as far north here in Scott County. And some of these yellow ones are old lightning strikes. The most recent ones are in the white right here.
The yellow ones are positive strikes, Dave.
Oh, okay. I thought they were the
one
older
when they fade off, they're a little bit older, but
Yeah.
the yellow ones are just positive
Okay.
strikes. I've got it in differential mode.
And anyway, so these are pushing off to these. And, you know, in the summertime, when we get these, you know, these powerful storms that come through, and this thing is lit up. I mean, if we put the lightning strikes up and increase the size of the icon, the whole area is covered in lightning strike. So this, you know, is not a prolific lightning producer. Occasionally some rumbles of thunder. But like I said, a lot of times in the summertime when we get those storms that pop in the afternoon and evening, the whole line of storms can be lit up with those lightning strikes that are detected. So
I want to put on rain rate for a second, Dave.
Okay.
Let me switch it over. Look at these rain rates. So those, I bet, are going to be about 4 inches per hour. Luckily, it's not hanging out here for an hour.
We should qualify that and say that heavy rain rate would have to sit over that location for an hour to get 4.5 inches. But that's still some very heavy rain. Good to point that out, that there's some very high rain rates with these storms as they're pushing off to the east.
Let's see if we can load up our, we have over here on our camera. I'm going to load up our downtown Bristol camera, and we'll see what we can see outside of our door here.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming down real hard. I don't know if they can, I don't suppose they can probably hear that. But when we had the tornado outbreak in April 2011, we had several severe thunderstorms come through downtown while we were on the air covering that. And when the hail, it was about the size of walnuts, maybe a little bit bigger, some of it. And it was, and you could, it sounded awful. We were kind of actually a little bit worried because we were under a tornado warning. We thought, you know, the hail core was over us, and we're pretty sure it wasn't the tornado part of the storm coming over, but we were all a little bit nervous. And again, this was in April 2011, that potentially we were looking at some strong winds, but it was hail, and everybody at home could hear the hail when it was falling because it made a racket. We got kind of this big, huge studio that we're in, so whenever it rains, you can hear it pretty good. It's I guess the way the roof is situated and made and so forth. But anyway, there's our downtown cam.
I switched over to Holston Mountain there for a second just to see what it was showing. Nothing too visual to show there from Holston Mountain at this hour, but.
And even so, I mean, we still got the rain, but the heaviest rain already looks like to be kind of winding down.
Yep.
Already downtown Bristol. I mean, it's still. I guess
Swing
you
the
could
camera
arguably-
around towards the Bristol
arguably
side.
say it's still pouring, but not as much as it was just a couple of minutes ago.
A little bit of wind with it too. Look at the rain down
Jake?
there at the intersection of MLK and State Street.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
like we were
yeah.
seeing in Johnson City, you can see the little bands of showers kind of being blown here from the strong gusty winds too. And you can see the flag. I mean, it's not damaging wind, but you can see definitely some gusty winds of the flag over here as well.
Don't ever run a stoplight at Martin Luther King and State Street because we'll get you on camera right there.
Yes,
We've done it before. Not run the stoplight, gotten someone on camera.
I've seen a car alarm go off on our camera before too, and I was like, uh-oh, do I need to call the police? But switching back to the radar here, we'll give you another view of what's going on. Sadie, did you have some pictures loaded
Yeah,
back there?
I grabbed some. I have the photos loaded up on.
Okay.
If we pull up the middle 2 scene.
Okay, let's try to pull up middle 2 here. Give me a second. We'll see what it looks like.
See how.
That'll work. We can
Yeah,
take
does that work? I can zoom in a little.
Yeah, let's zoom in if we could.
Any better at all? I can't see what. Oh.
We can work with that. It'll work.
All right, so I've noticed from going through these pictures that you guys really like pictures of rainbows. A lot of people sent in photos of rainbows, but we also did get this video right here. This is a storm on Big A in Honaker, so yeah, you can see the wind and just the rain going sideways. That's not the kind of rain you really want to be outside in. That's what the station is seeing right now overhead, it seems like. Actually, you can see some small hail falling as well.
Where was that at?
This is on Big A Mountain.
Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. It doesn't look like large hail. Definitely smaller hail, but you can see that in the photo. Then we got some more rainbow photos from Clintwood. And this is a photo of the clouds. This was in Wise, Virginia. So this is the scene as the clouds built in from, went from the sunny skies to those cloudy skies that we saw earlier. And then the sky just began to look dark and ominous. Another rainbow photo.
by the way, it's pouring again.
Yeah,
And I'm
we
gonna
could
take you-
pull up
I'm
that.
going back to the Bristol.
Yeah, we can come back to these photos.
Where's the
Click down here. Let's click on Mido.
Oh, wow, yeah.
show? The brain is picked back up.
You know what doesn't stop? That train.
The train.
The train whistles, and the trains never stop, no
Like-
matter what the weather is.
Speaking of being able to hear something in the studio outside, you can hear the train when it blasts.
Oh, that's true, too.
Let me pan
So
that
look
down
at,
a little left. The tree.
that's
Tree's
some
bending a
pretty
little bit.
strong winds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the
Ooh.
power's flashing there, Dave. I don't
Yeah,
know if you can
was
see
that power or
if
was
you
that?
see the Bristol sign. They're doing some work on the Bristol sign.
All right, they
And
are.
the lights have come on and off there a little bit. Even the light pole is swaying a bit in the wind. So these look like winds to me of maybe around 40 to 50. In fact, the lights are out now on
The
the
traffic
intersection.
lights.
Traffic lights are out. Interesting that the
Now they
train
come back.
lights stay on. They
Now
must
they
be on a
came back.
different
I guess
circuit.
it's just been a.
Yeah, so a couple power flashes. We have a generator here at the station, which most of the time keeps us up, knock on wood. And usually, even if we take a power hit to downtown Bristol, we're able to stay on the air here
I
at
mean,
the
sometimes
station.
it's like seamless. Like power goes out, we don't even
Yeah,
know that it went
that's the hope.
Yeah.
which is good because back in, I don't know, some of our Facebook friends may remember that heavy wet snow that occurred in January of 1998. I'm dating myself here. But a very large part of the Tri-Cities and surrounding areas lost power. And it wasn't just necessarily for a few hours. For many places, it was days. I think our power at home, where I live, was out for 2 days. And one of the reasons we have a generator now is because of that storm, because we were without power here at the station for, I'm guessing, probably 2 days as well.
Wow.
At least a day, probably 2. But anyway, We did our news out of the satellite truck, and
Wow.
hence the generator.
It's important to have
Well,
backup
that is,
plans.
it's good that we have a generator, though. I'm sure it's been in use many times since 1998.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to go back to the radar here.
Okay.
And Sydney, if you'll drive that for a second
Yeah.
for Dave, I'm going to try to load up our Abingdon Meadows camera because that's going to be the area where this storm is heading next. And I want to see what it looks like there as it moves into that area.
So it looks like the heavy rain is headed over the I-81 corridor, right here, about to pass over it. If you are headed between Bristol and Abingdon on I-81, it looks like you're about to encounter some of the heavier
Yeah, toward
rain
out toward
showers.
Target and
Yeah.
those areas around Sugar Hollow Park. That shopping plaza is probably
There.
coming down pretty hard.
Yep. Evergreen Hills, Old Jonesboro Road, Windale. Windale is about to see the heaviest of the rain in a moment from this particular system. So
It looks like we measured a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust here at the station from that line that came through.
Would you say 40 mile per hour?
Yeah, 40.
Yeah. So that was a good estimate.
Let me look to see what other places have gotten on our AWS weather network real quick.
So now that the areas are going to be impacted by this, of course, Virginia Highlands area, Abingdon, up towards exit 19, exit 13, right near the airport. Places like that are next in line for these strong gusty winds that are moving through. We had someone
Yeah.
ask about Kingsport, so if we can zoom out a little bit
Yep.
and kind of talk about Kingsport, because it's not just us that has some strong storms moving through right now. We also have a pretty hefty little storm here moving across the Kingsport area. I'll jump on the chroma key and kind of point out a few areas here. Basically, the Lynn Garden area being impacted by some strong gusty winds, heavy downpours right now. This is be just to the north of downtown, just to the north of Eastman. Weber City seeing some of those strong gusty winds, but this is heading towards the Bloomingdale area. So right when you come towards Kingsport Speedway, Highway 93, this is East Stone Drive going down this way. That's going to be the areas where these storms move in. I really wish we had our East Stone Drive camera right now, because you probably would see this whole storm coming at us. If we can switch over to velocity for a second, Sydney, we'll see what that shows. And so, yeah, some strong winds probably with this, especially towards Weber City right now. But I'm probably estimate maybe about 40-mile-per-hour winds with this once again as it moves in. It looks pretty similar to the storm we have across Bristol, so it looks like it'll probably be about the same as it moves through Kingsport there, heading towards Bloomingdale and right along Highway 11W.
So let's switch back over to radar as we go into, let's look around what's going on. So as Ricky was saying earlier, they are moving, these storms are moving very fast because within a matter of 10 minutes, they're in and out of a location. We don't hear it on our roof anymore. I'd be interested to see if, Nope,
Bristol
still-
camera
it
is
is still
starting
raining?
to look better.
Oh,
Let's-
yeah.
if
Yeah, it
We'll
is.
take the cameras again. So
Yeah.
if you scroll down here, or just click that scene video
Okay.
from Meadow.
Go
switch
to
around.
put AWS in there. It'd be interesting
right.
to show you the strong winds that occurred, non-thunderstorm strong winds, which were all the early afternoon peak gusts.
There you go.
At Southwest Virginia Community College in Richlands had a peak wind gust at 50 around 2 o'clock. Johnson City at Cherokee Elementary School had 45. And in Washington County, Tennessee, Lamar Elementary School had a peak wind gust of 43. Again, this was in the early afternoon when we were seeing some tree damage caused by just pressure gradient winds, non-thunderstorm winds. But then you look at the 727 wind report, that's at the airport. And that was a peak wind gust as the storms came through at 43. And Rick, you said we had a 40-mile-per-hour gust here at the station downtown.
So the wind has been strong enough to apparently knock our Mendota camera offline too. So
Oh, wow.
it was strong enough up there to knock out the power or do something. Let's get you back to the radar here, and then we'll show you a few different cameras. Let's talk about that storm up here. So here's the Abingdon area. I don't want to forget the people in parts of Dickinson County, either Davenport area, Russell County. This is the storm we were tracking earlier across portions of Scott County. It's now going to be moving towards Honeacre, Garden, I believe this is, there's 67.
Yeah, you can see the lightning strikes
Labeled-
appearing
that's,
too.
yeah, that's
just
80. There we
a
go.
little.
So this storm quickly racing off towards the east. We'll put a storm track on that one as it goes about 50 miles per hour off towards the east. And this is going to be for the leading edge of that storm. So Council, 752. Honeacre, 8 o'clock. You're already seeing some light to moderate rainfall right now in the Honeacre area. Rosedale, 8:05. Richlands, 8:12. Cedar Bluff, 8:14. Claypool Hill, around 8:16. And as Sydney was pointing out the lightning further south here with the line of storms that just came through the Bristol area, that one is soon going to be moving into Smith County. So let's put a storm track on that one as well as it moves off to 50 miles per hour. I'm going to put it on the leading edge of kind of the downpours. And so that one approaching Saltville around 7:52, Glade Springs 7:55, Chilhowie just shortly after 8 o'clock, Marion, downtown area 8:13, Atkins 8:19, heading into Sugar Grove around 8:24, and then getting towards portions of Wythe County as we get closer to 8:30. All right, so let's zoom out, kind of reset everything here. Dave, I think we can give an all clear once again for probably Lee County, Wise County now, Russell County, Greene County,
Hawkins County.
Hawkins.
West of, well, Dickinson County, with the exception of the far eastern
Yeah.
part.
This is going to be the shortest severe thunderstorm watch ever in history for Dickinson and Buchanan counties.
I know.
It's issued and all of a sudden, bye, it's gone.
Well, yeah, it's actually issued when it was starting to move in.
Yeah. But look at all the storms we've had east of us here.
And it's still a tornado warning.
Yeah.
In effect,
Look at, I want to point out that these storms look different than ours, though. Look how isolated these storms are here. This is near Martinsville, just to the north and west of downtown Martinsville.
and that, I mean, that the dangerous part of that storm looks like it will pass over Martinsville.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's a nice little couplet.
I mean, you're right. I can point that out a little bit right over here. This is what's kind of set, right through here is where we got the gate shear. We got winds going away from the radar. We got winds coming toward the radar, and in the red right through here, that's where that little couplet is. And that, if there is a tornado, and it's a Doppler radar indicated tornado most likely, that is pushing off to the northeast, and that would be going right over the Martinsville area of Virginia. So if you have friends or family that live in Martinsville and maybe they're not aware of a tornado warning that's in effect, that would also extend into the northern part of the county as well. But certainly a very ominous looking signature on that velocity field on Doppler radar, again just to the west, kind of southwest of Martinsville. And these are probably pushing off to the northeast as well at 60, 65 miles per hour. So
Yep.
that doesn't give you a whole lot of time to be prepared. You need to always kind of have a family plan before severe weather develops, so that you know what you would need to do to keep you and your family safe, or at least as safe as you possibly can be, especially for like a tornado warning like that. You need to have your safe place in your home. If you live in a mobile home, you should have an alternative place that you would seek shelter should a tornado warning be issued. But at this point, we're not expecting necessarily tornado warnings here. I'm just kind of talking and referring to the one that's now near Martinsville in Virginia.
Hey, check out this view. We talk about how bad storms can be sometime, but they can also be pretty. Check out this shot here, Big A Mountain. Not a bad shot.
That is
The sun
pretty
sets. You're looking at Big A Mountain there. I'll switch you over to Keene Mountain as well, because that's not a bad shot either. I'll show you Mendota, but that one's down. There we go. That's the Keene Correctional Facility you see there in the distance, I believe. And then this is our Keene Mountain camera showing some of those ominous looking skies and a few storms out there. Look at how the mountain's greening up pretty well too. Spring is certainly here, and we're starting to see the pollen too. So the nice thing about the rain is, boy, it's washing the pollen off, because my car was turning not silver, it was turning into more of a yellow car after all of this pollen.
Shake it up a little bit, Silver one day, yellow the next.
Sydney, could you try to get this video up? And
how
if
do
you
you
go to
want
my
it up?
Twitter account, I'll retweet it. If you pull it up on Minnow 2, we can then take it. It's a video here that one of our viewers, Michael Gibson, just sent me a good follow on Twitter. So let me get back to the radar here for a second. There we go. Sometimes you get to watch what we do behind the scenes a little bit. what our Abingdon Meadows camera is showing now, if anything. You can see the rain coming down there now. So I'll load up that. This is the camera located in the Meadowview, right at the Meadowview exit, and where they're building all that stuff there. If it stops buffering, I'll show it to you.
Let's get a smaller view.
Maybe not.
There you go.
If you double click on that video, it may make it bigger. I'm not
It
sure.
was very grainy when it was
That's
bigger.
fine. Okay, so let's take it off there.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a video out of the Abingdon area from earlier this evening. This is sent by Michael Gibson. He said this was the wind and the rain moving through the Abingdon area near his house. Very similar to what we saw in the downtown Bristol area, Dave, with all
Yeah.
that wind coming through.
Yeah, I mean, that looks probably very similar to the 40, 45 mile an hour gusts of wind that a lot of areas I think probably have seen as the more intense cells move across an area. But that's awesome video. Thank Michael for sharing that with us. And
That was the
And also, you know, we like to see your pictures. We like to see your video, and not only on Twitter and Facebook, but you can also very easily go to our WCYB.com/chime-in app and upload video, upload storm pictures. You know, there's a number of bubbles that you can upload your picture to, including we have one for spring pictures. We also have one for April weather pictures, and we get a lot of pictures, and we really appreciate all of you who take time to do that, because you know, a lot of times we don't necessarily know how bad a storm is. We can see it on radar. It might be a rural area where we don't get a lot of feedback about what's happening, but you know, you might have a downed tree that is covering a car or a house, and we may not know it. And so we do rely a lot on our great viewers that, you know, share those photos
And
with us.
not just that, but when we get reports of damage and things like that, it allows us to then look at the radar, allows us to kind of go back sometimes and see what the radar looked like so that it can help improve future warnings. So if we know what the storm looked like on radar and then see what it did, we're able to potentially issue a warning for it the next time, or kind of be more mindful of what those storms can do. So I brought up the watches here. Lee County, Wise County, Hancock County officially cleared out of the watch. I would go ahead and include Hawkins, Scott, Greene County in that as well, just as the system continues to push off towards the east. Leslie, Harlan, and Letcher counties also cleared out of that watch box now, but it continues for basically the Tri-Cities area and points east.
And that is because, as we put Power 5 Doppler radar back up here, we can show you that the storms have basically cleared these counties. And as Ricky noted, that basically, I mean, I could draw a little line here where, let's see, we could probably take it from here and go all the way up into most of Dickinson, Buchanan counties. I might be able to zoom out a little bit here without making it disappear, that line.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically west of that line, and really I think we can include just about all of Greene County as well, pretty much out of the severe threat. And at this point in time, I would be pretty confident in saying that our main concern for strong or maybe an isolated severe storm is going to be with these areas right here, where we still have kind of that linear structure to the showers and storms, have some pretty high reflectivity, and that is obvious by the color. The brighter the colors, the reds and so forth, those are the heavier rains. And right now, and another thing you look at is where is the lightning occurring. And right now, it's pretty much occurring on this northern end of the, well, there's two kind of lines of storms here, but near Abingdon, for example, we've had some recent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, and that extends up toward eastern Dickinson and also a good part of Buchanan County around Davenport and Van Sant and Grundy, and extends all the way up toward the Hurley area of Buchanan County and into West Virginia. Around Richlands, we've had a recent cloud-to-ground lightning strike there, and moving through this section of southwest Virginia. Still some pretty, well, at least brief downpours in northeast Tennessee, but it seems like maybe things are calming down a little bit compared to what it was like in northeast Tennessee a little while ago.
For sure. Smith County, probably still the area where we're going to see the strongest storms moving through. And then this storm is just pulsed up now, just east of the Hurley community is quickly going to be moving out of Buchanan County. Buchanan County. Always mix those two up for some reason. I don't know why. Blackie area along Hurley Road as you go into Hurley, and near Ira, some lightning and some thunder there as the storm pushes off towards the east. Got a spotter report earlier of some hail in Church Hill, 0.7-inch hail there as these storms move through Church Hill. Appreciate all the weather spotters who send us those reports through the afternoon and evening. And take another wider view there. Look how fast that storm moved even to Martinsville, Dave. Now on the northwest side of the town.
So they kind of refigured that,
Yeah, they dropped part of it.
reconfigured the tornado warning, which is good. Looked like perhaps that dangerous part of the storm stayed just to the northwest of Martinsville, perhaps. But still, radar indicating rotation significant enough to have that tornado warning expanded northbound. In Martinsville again, I got to stress, tornado. We're not.
Yeah, not here.
Not talking about tornado warnings in our viewing area, but.
But you know what we should do, well, we've got a lot of people watching, a lot of people paying attention, is talk about maybe our next chance for storms. And that's going to come as we go into next week here. So let me load up the data for that. And we're going to have a couple days of some nice weather, but as we go into Thursday night, Friday time frame, that's when we're going to be watching for another chance of strong to severe storms to move across our area. So let me show you that on our future radar here as we talk about our next weather makers. Nice and warm Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it's really into Thursday when a strong storm system starts to develop out towards the west. And Dave, that approaches us late Thursday and into Friday.
It's not the same setup necessarily, but it's similar in the sense that it looks like we're going to see probably a decent line of showers and storms. And it looks like it's going to be later. At this point, our forecast model is suggesting later Thursday night. So, you know, we always say the worst, I mean, there's no good time for severe weather, obviously, but the sometimes more dangerous time is when severe weather happens when everybody's in bed, you know, after 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And that's why and it's possible that it could be kind of a late evening or overnight situation.
This is early Friday morning. After midnight is when this one, this model itself is pinning these storms coming through, but timing can change a lot.
Oh, yeah.
5, 6, 7 days out. So, you know, while it may look like it's moving in now.
They can change 6 hours out.
Right.
But I guess what I was getting at, though, is to have multiple ways to get weather warnings. Of course, you can get it on our Storm Track 5 mobile app. We're usually, obviously, here during severe weather on Facebook and on air as well. If we need, we break into programming as well for tornado warnings and stuff like that, or severe thunderstorm warnings that are significant coming through the metro, for example. But when you're asleep, it's good to have a NOAA weather radio that is, alerts you to when you can, set these up so they only alert you to the county or counties you want to be alerted to. You don't maybe want to, if you live in Greene County, you don't necessarily want to be waking for a severe thunderstorm warning in Buchanan County. You know what I mean? So that's nice. One thing nice about the weather radio is you can tailor them or program them to just go off for the warning that concerns you and your family. So that's something.
And we talk about weather radios, talk about everything. There's lots of different ways you can stay informed. We've got our News 5 app. I always recommend our Storm Track 5 app, and the reason for that is because it'll send you push alerts notifications. Just like you're talking about, I live in this county, I don't want a warning for Scott County, for example. I live in Buchanan County.
Right.
Our app will do that. It uses your GPS location, then sends you geo-targeted alerts depending on what county you're in and what county you set it to. It's also nice because you can set multiple locations. If grandma lives in Hawkins County and you live in Sullivan County, you can set it for 2 different spots there, and then you're informed of both of their locations. If your mother-in-law lives in Dickinson County, you don't have to set that one if you don't want her to get alerts.
He's kidding about that.
Yeah, sort of. I'm not married. I don't have to worry about that yet. But anyway, television, of course, where we're always going to be in case we get any severe weather. And, of course, our website, WCOV.com. You've already found our Facebook page if you're watching this right now. And many different ways to keep informed when severe weather moves through.
I actually also just got a call from the newsroom. We received a tip that the Hawkins County Rescue Squad doesn't want people traveling on Shepherd's Chapel Road and West Caney Road because several trees and power lines are down in the area, so it's a really dangerous situation right now on those two roads.
And what would say the roads again?
They are Shepherd's Chapel Road and West Caney Creek Road.
Here's another picture that just came into us. This is a couple of trees snapped here. I believe this is in the, I'm not sure exactly where that is, but looks like some branches. Oh, those are power lines, excuse me, that.
Oh, that is a
That's not
power
power
line.
poles.
Oh my goodness. Wow, right?
Power out there.
And where was that?
Not sure, Dave, to be honest with you.
Let's see if we can find out from this person's Twitter. Is it still up on it?
Yeah, go ahead and try that if you want.
yeah.
We'll see what Sydney can dig up here. And while she does that, we'll kind of take another look at the radar. Do you know there's a community called Welch in West Virginia?
I actually did, and I get a lot of messages about that community because I guess the last name Welch is pretty big there as well, and people ask me if I'm related to them. Which, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any
So,
family members from Southwest Virginia.
You, a New Yorker, a native New Yorker, your roots actually are in southern Appalachia. You didn't realize that, did you?
Well, I actually have asked my grandparents and whatnot, and they said, I don't think so. But, you know, maybe way back in the bloodline.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to find out much from that Twitter, but it does say Eastern Tennessee, so that doesn't narrow it down too much.
I'm gonna, let's see, let's go back over here for a second. Here we go with the radar. Let's talk about where these storms are now and where they're heading once again. So basically Saltville is where the strongest lines of storms are right now. That's going to be heading up Highway 91 and then eventually moving up towards Chatham Hill. That's still in what's known as Smith County there. This is Tazewell County to the north, so 91 going north into Tazewell County, expecting to see some heavy rainfall there shortly. Richlands, you're seeing some downpours at this hour. That's going to be moving to the north and east towards Tazewell, the community of Tazewell, basically right where 19 comes together with 16 and 91. So right in downtown, expecting to see some heavy downpours here, 40-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some 50-mile-per-hour winds as those storms move in. And then Dave, I think this is probably going to miss much of downtown, at least for this heavier cell, but wouldn't shock me if this little stuff down here towards Glade Spring maybe starts to build up a little bit, and that could impact downtown Marion. Certainly seeing some light and moderate rainfall as well from Damascus all the way into the Hungry Mother State Park area, Adwolf, and then further south and west, just between Abingdon and South Holston Lake.
I mean, we can do a little. I can do a little storm track on this.
Okay.
And these, let me stop it.
It's moving north and east about 50 miles per hour. So if we draw it out about the next 45 minutes or so, that's going to be taking it into Tazewell County, and then eventually taking it into, I want to say it's Bland County to the north and east of Tazewell. And so downtown Tazewell around 8:15 and heading into the Rocky Gap area 8:44, Cove Creek 8:30, and then Mechanicsburg around 8:55. Now that storm is the one that's moving into Smith County and Tazewell County. West of that, there's another storm that's across portions of Buchanan County, Buchanan County, yeah. Like I said, I always mix those two up. I don't know why. It's in my head. I need to like write one on this hand and one on this hand. But anyway, sorry about that. But Dave also drawing a storm track on that one for you. That moves off to the north and east around 50 miles per hour as well. Swords Creek, 8:08. Richlands, around 8:15. The Welch community in West Virginia, 8:23. Tazewell, 8:34. Pocahontas, West Virginia at 8:46. And then Bluefield, West Virginia, around 8:53. So very quickly, these storms are moving out of our coverage area and moving into our friends in West Virginia, and also moving into our friends in the Roanoke coverage area. Some of our sister stations over there include WSLS, so if you want to tune into their coverage, WSET. WSOS is where Chris Michaels is, one of our former meteorologists, the NBC affiliate in the Roanoke area. And even down in the Tri-Cities right now, still some pockets of light to moderate rainfall. Could see a heavy downpour or two. But I think overall the severe weather risk for much of Northeast Tennessee has diminished. Not zero yet, but I'd certainly say, Dave, it's on the downward trend.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see visually from a reflectivity standpoint that we don't have those. We had, when we were talking about how hard it was raining in Johnson City. We were showing you the Bank of Tennessee cam and the Bristol Moore Speedway and our downtown Bristol cam. We had some, you know, those very intense red colors embedded with these showers and storms. And now, surely, I mean, you can see here that we still have some brief downpours. I mean, there's a line. There's a line. All of these have some downpours still embedded with the showers. I don't see any cloud-to-ground lightning strikes with this activity in northeast Tennessee. Probably limited even to the north, but I'll go back up towards southwest Virginia where we do have some of those heavier storms. And even here, let me put on the lightning. There is still some lightning. Let me blow them up a little bit larger. Well, that's a little bit too much. All right, so, and the ones that are faded, which is most of them, to be quite honest with you, are the older strikes, all right? So there doesn't appear to be a whole lot of new strikes. There are a couple, but not as many as there were maybe, 15 minutes ago. But certainly on the northern end of this, for sure, is where we're having our most, our more frequent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes around Gilbert, for example, and heading up toward Beckley in West Virginia. All right, there we go.
Got another picture if you want to show that, please.
Yeah, we can pull up. There are a few pictures of trees and power lines down.
Mido to
And this is on Mido. And let's see, location says Greenfield Place in Marion Hills. So you can see the trees and the power lines all just look like one over there. They took another picture from a different angle, which I'm sure that the power is probably out there and they have to send
certainly, at least
trucks
in that part of the neighborhood, obviously.
Yeah.
Looks like,
not looking like a very good situation. You can even see the power line actually in this photo right here. But we got.
An important thing to remember, that line's probably still live.
yeah, gotta be
Or it
careful.
Yes.
could be live. So don't be stupid and get out there and think, hey, let's get around this power line.
Yeah,
'cause-
don't go trying to
chances
touch a
are-
power line. Especially, no, just
Or at least
don't go
consider
touching
it.
it.
And we always urge, of course, we want those pictures, and who sent that. We're grateful to have the picture. We just want you all to be real safe about it.
Yeah.
And
It looked like he was also at a safe distance.
yeah,
You could see the
I have
camera
no
was
doubt
zoomed
that
in.
he or
Yeah.
she was safe when they did that. I'm not worried. I just want everybody else to know that we don't want anybody to take any chances. Even though we want the picture, we want you to do it when it's safe to do so.
I have this video I can show.
And then
Okay.
share it. WCYB.com/chime-in is where a lot of these pictures are being uploaded from our viewers, and we appreciate that very much.
So we also got this video of wind bands coming through Bristol. This was sent to us at 7:45. So that was back when we were showing those camera views of outside of our station. So thank you, Tricia, for sending that. It looks like she got that safely through a window as well. So it's very
If
good to
you're
know.
thinking about where you want to send those pictures, where the best place to send them at is, here's our information, wcov.com/chime-in. You can email them to us if you still use email. Facebook or Twitter, send them to us
Yes.
on Facebook or Twitter. But the best way is to send them to that chime-in thing on the website because it goes to everyone in our entire news department and then everyone can see it. When you send it to just the weather accounts, only we see it here in the Weather Center, and sometimes they can go a little unnoticed when we're a little busy. There's my social media account information. If you want to send it to us, then I'll pull up everyone else's social media account.
Oh, there's another.
Follow us on there as well. David Boyd's going to be in here tomorrow morning with kind of a wrap-up of everything that's gone on. Of course, you're listening to myself, Ricky Matthews, Dave Dirks, and Sydney Welch here in the Weather Center right now. Three meteorologists in the house tonight. Storms push through the area. So, with the power out, a lot of people were saying, my device is kind of getting a little low on battery. So let's kind of give a little bit of some all clears and calm your nerves here. So basically, I'd say if you live west of these areas here, I think the severe weather risk is over for tonight. And no, we are not expecting additional lines of showers and storms to push in. Here's a view from Johnson City. You kind of see that the storms are pretty much out of Johnson City right now. And I think for the rest of the evening days,
Yeah.
we're not going to be worrying about any more storms pushing in after all this clears out.
Yeah, I mean, and really, I think at this point we could say probably two areas of concern, you know, if we get an isolated severe thunderstorm, which requires winds of at least 58 miles per hour, these would be the areas that are going to see that potential. Moving now through northern Smith County, looks like the heaviest part, I mean, there's heavy rain coming up Interstate 81, Lee Highway, toward Marion from Glade Spring and Saltville, but this is probably the storm that has, the cell part of the storm that has the stronger wind gusts right now. So some east of Richlands towards Saltville, just to near Interstate 81. That cell, I think, still has potential, obviously, to produce those winds that we saw blowing the trees around that we showed you on the cameras in Johnson City and Bristol, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts. And also moving now, just about moving out of Buchanan County, there's Whitewood getting some intense wind and rain probably right now. That's going to be moving into Tazewell County shortly. Already a storm in Tazewell County, but another one coming in. That's going to, at least the northwest part of Tazewell County, looks like the bulk of this is shortly going to be in West Virginia as well, where we still have some warnings up near the Beckley area for severe thunderstorms, but none of these storms is being warned for at this time. But certainly, as we've seen the pictures, some trees have gone down. We've had some power lines down in spots. Officials in Hawkins County on a couple of roads, and Sydney, you might, if you remember, we could maybe say what those roads are again that officials are urging.
Those roads, the Hawkins County Rescue Squad is urging people not to travel or take very big precautions when traveling down Shepherd's Chapel Road and West Caney Creek Road, and that's because of several trees and power lines down for those areas.
And so while this, thank you, Sydney, and while this wasn't, you know what, we would probably term a significant severe weather outbreak across our area, we can be thankful for that. It certainly has been an outbreak of some severe weather, even though we didn't have very many warnings. We've got proof with the pictures that we're getting in, the video, the reports of severe weather, or at least downed trees and so forth. We had a few reports of some hail, mostly below severe threshold. Quarter-size hail is kind of what is the bottom line for when a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for large hail. Penny-size hail, nickel-size hail, pea-size hail, that could be falling like crazy, but the National Weather Service will not issue normally a severe thunderstorm warning just because of small hail, and it could be a lot of it, but it has to be quarter size, or at least estimated quarter size or larger before a warning is issued for hail.
Dave, we're going to take middle 2 again. I'll let
Yes, King College, power lines and trees down. We got this message on Facebook. The person who messaged us said it was a very scary situation, and we actually have crews headed there now to get some video of this. It looks like a tree fell right down on the power line. So if you are anywhere near King College and you don't have power, this could be.
I mean, it looks like. I mean, that's a pretty. I mean, if I'm looking at that's a sizable tree. And it looks like, are those branches that?
Yeah, there's a branch laying on that power line right there.
And so, I mean, I might not be looking at this.
I can try zooming it in a little bit.
That is a tree right there. Am I not mistaken?
That's like several trees, actually.
So, I mean, that's pretty serious looking stuff. And imagine if there were a house. That I mean, that's what makes it dangerous. We have so many trees in where we live. It makes our place beautiful, but during severe weather, it also makes things more dangerous than perhaps it would be in my home state where I grew up in Iowa, where you have clusters of trees, but a lot of bare land, all right? But we have trees everywhere, and a thunderstorm wind of 50 miles an hour can do this. It doesn't have to necessarily be 60 or 70, you know, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust can topple a tree. Maybe it was a little bit more for that one, but certainly it looks a little bit scary there.
And
you
those
said
are
that was
the
King
same
College Road?
Yes, that was at King College, off King College Road.
Those were the same winds that we saw moving across, you know, Bristol earlier.
Yes.
We're not far from King College.
So I just got another.
Actually, it's King University.
King University, thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, thank you for correcting.
But I mean, it is King. There's a road. I don't know if they changed the road name or not.
We also got another photo. I'll have to pull it up on the other system once we get this one down so I can go into my email. But there's a photo taken on Rittertown Road in the Hampton community, and this is a large tree on power lines as well in the Hampton community. So thank you, Bob Fritz, for sending that. He also says we have permission to use this on Facebook and on air and things like that. So This photo is showing, just showing what exactly is happening as these winds come down. The grounds get a little saturated from the rain, and power lines are close by. So.
You know where Greenfield Place is, Dave? Marion Hills? Don't have a
Maybe someone out there, or one of our viewers watching right now,
Marion Hills community.
Marion Hills community. Can somebody pop in a reply about, we're not exactly sure where that is. I could do a quick,
I searched on Google, but nothing came
Oh,
up.
okay.
So
I want to, logic would say, well, it's near Marion, Virginia, but when we got that report,
yeah, it's
the
spelled a little
storms
differently.
the storms hadn't got to Marion, Virginia.
Yeah, it's spelled a little different than,
Yeah.
than that is too. We're just kind of going through some of our pictures here behind the scenes.
Yeah, I want to get this one up. I just have to send it to myself. This one's quite impressive.
While we do that, I'm going to load the radar back up.
Yeah, let's pull up a photo so I can get things up going on the computer. Perfect.
Got a report of a tree down on King Mill. I think they want King Mill Pike.
That was the one that Sydney, I think, just showed there.
That King Mill Pike would be more on the Virginia side, I believe. I'm not sure where exactly that tree went down. Is it Marlin Hills? Did you say, or Marion Hills?
Marlin Hills. I
Oh
guess.
well, we just got Josh. I thought y'all were saying Marion Hills. Sorry about that.
No, Marlin Hills.
Marlin Hills subdivision is off the Bluff City Highway. Josh Kemp telling us that. Thank you. Sorry, I had the wrong name. I didn't. Yeah, I got an IFB in my ear. I really don't need that. No one's talking to me. So first of all, I'm half deaf to begin with, and then I have one ear plugged up with a IFB.
So this is a good, kind of reminder that even though there's not a severe thunderstorm warning in effect a lot of times, these storms can still produce some pretty good damage. And we're seeing that tonight. There weren't warnings in effect for these, but they certainly produced some pretty good damage across the area.
And so Skylar says there's, I think she's referring to the trees down on King Mill Pike. Take a look
All
at
right, I have our next photo up if we want to pull up.
Okay, I'm pulling it up for you.
Yes.
There you
So this looks to be, this is actually the best visual that we've gotten so far. The other ones were just, the impacts are just as big, but you can really see the arm of this tree reaching over the power lines, and I would say that would probably be soon. If they don't get people out there to cut that tree down, the power lines are probably going to be going down with it. And that photo was taken on Rittertown Road in Hampton, so in the Hampton community. So that's definitely not a good situation. I wouldn't recommend getting any closer than this person got to take the photo.
pouring again downtown Bristol. We can hear it on the roof.
What is that?
And we've got some kind of
Is that for Grayson County? Oh, that's Buchanan County.
Yeah, we have a severe
You know what that
thunderstorm
is?
warning.
That is the extreme little slither there of Buchanan County that's coming out. So let's jump back in here and we'll show you what's going on. Like we talked about, these storms can pulse up so quickly, and this is a teeny slither of Buchanan County included in this. So basically, Whitewood, Jewel Valley, and Bear Walla, right along Chicken Ridge Road, just north of Jewel Ridge, is where that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. Dave's going to jump over there on the chroma key wall and kind of point out where this is in relation to everything. So the watch, Dave, is right through here. I'll kind of cycle the radar on and off, and you can see where the warning is.
This is the new warning. Most of the warning is in West Virginia, near Sydney's hometown of Welch. No, that's not it. But yeah, this is almost a little day late, dollar short for Buchanan County, because it was strong and intense when it was coming through central and eastern Buchanan County, but now largely here in the next 10 minutes or so is going to be pushing out of Buchanan County. But nonetheless, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect, and like you said, it includes areas around Whitewood and points east and north into southern portions of West Virginia. This cell here, Ricky, looks interesting as well, just because it's kind of taking on this bowing structure,
Yep.
like right through here. I'm not sure what, if you put the velocity on there,
Sure.
let's see what it says. That's not.
We're once again, we're
kind of
basically in
on
that
not
radar
a-
hole.
Yeah, it's not a
unfortunately.
very good place, because this is where we have radars that are quite far away, both trying to get the wind velocity. So it didn't look like really reliable data there as far as what the winds
No.
are doing. But anytime you get a structure, a kind of a linear structure that begins to bow out like this, a lot of times that indicates that there's some enhanced strong winds with that particular storm cell. So that would include areas, and this does extend into the northwest parts of Smith County as well, mainly north of Marion as far as the dangerous part of the storm as it comes through. But you know, it's just to the east of Saltville. That would be coming toward Chatham Hill. This is moving right over Tazewell at this hour along Highway 19, right through here. Going to be heading up toward Bluefield, for example, and then move into may kind of hit the northwest part of Bland County here. But largely all of this activities, you know, rapidly moving up largely into West Virginia here, at least the severe part of these storms here over the next 15 minutes, well, let's say the next half hour or so. And like we've been talking about, it's these two little segments along this line of storms, the one moving through out of Buchanan County and the one moving through northern Smith County through Tazewell County, and then pull back a little bit and just show how many storms in West Virginia now are being warned for as far as severe weather. So thankfully for us, not necessarily for them, obviously. Thankfully for us, though, these storms really started to intensify as they were moving through our area, but things came together more for the damaging wind threat, at least for the National Weather Service to issue warnings, has been staying north of us. But like we've been showing you, we had one warning, one for Northwest Greene, Hawkins, and part of eastern Hancock County. That was the only warning we've had, but we've shown you a number of pictures of what those winds were doing. We showed you live video of those winds coming through downtown Bristol, coming through North Johnson City, coming across Bristol Motor Speedway, for example. And we were estimating that maybe 40, 50 mile an hour winds is what it looked like. So that may be eventually, yeah, I mean, it might have been stronger, exactly. And so while, like Ricky was pointing out, you don't have to have a severe thunderstorm warning to cause some of the damage that we are seeing across the area tonight.
No, and my suit's all messed up. It's stuck on my microphone pack there. Live television, live Facebook, they're fun. But, Dave, I think overall things are calming down once again. Those two areas you point out, really, I think this severe thunderstorm warning can kind of just be nonchalant here for across.
I mean, I think it maybe should have been issued about a half hour earlier, or 20 minutes, a half hour earlier.
So the way these warnings are issued is they're issued in polygons. So you see this little line's been drawn through here. Basically, the Weather Service went in and they drew a box, and this is not their county, so they're not allowed to draw a warning for that box. That's issued by the Weather Service in Blacksburg, but the Weather Service in Charleston, West Virginia, issued this box, and I'm assuming someone drew down there, and they didn't click a little box that says, get out of the vertice, and click a little bit of Buchanan County there. So, no worries. Hey, heads up, that storm's pushing away from you, so no worries in Buchanan County anymore for severe weather. That storm is pushing away. But Tazewell County, Bluefield area, you'll see some of these strong storms pushing into there, and then parts of Smith County, right near Saltville, also could see some downpours here over the next little bit. But if you guys don't have any objection, you do anything, why don't we kind of wrap things up here? We'll all jump on and kind of talk about what we've seen here a little bit. Cindy looks a little different because Cindy is out.
That's why Dave just dragged me up here. I was
She's like, no.
Well, this is your reporter gear.
yeah. Yeah,
You were
this
out
does show
in the
height
elements during the 6 o'clock show, live with our storm tracker, and did a great job reporting how we had wind damage from non-thunderstorm
Yeah, that was
winds
before any of
earlier.
the thunderstorms
And then
even came
this
in.
round of storms came in, which produced, in its own way, more tree damage. So
Ricky, you can't just
been,
stand further back
Okay,
to look
so
shorter.
You stand next to me here, and we'll show you the height
No,
difference.
get down. There we go. All right.
Yeah, there we
There's
go.
Ricky right there.
I need the box.
All right.
No, I'm just joking. Okay.
There's
You
your
next
box.
grabbed a box.
All right, now I'm officially the shortest one
Not
here.
Rosales. All right.
Someone's going to make this about me if y'all aren't there.
All right, so let's stop.
All right, so thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for trusting us for any severe weather coverage. When the storms push through, on behalf of Dave and Sydney, thanks for joining us tonight. And hopefully, we won't have to see you again on Facebook Live until our next storm chance, which pushes in as we go into Thursday night and Friday.
And it's going to be turning sharply colder tomorrow.
Yeah.
About 58, 59.
Something like that.
And maybe even some scattered frost potentially Tuesday morning.
Wow.
So it's always something.
Well, one of us
I
has
was
to
thinking
turn
about
this
planting my
Facebook
flowers,
Live off.
And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't plant those yet.
You know, I think there's this thing called the May 10th rule.
Oh, May 10th. I was one with April 15th.
What's the May 10th rule?
April 5th, yeah, that's tax day.
Don't plant before. I know, but I mean, North Carolina it works. I guess it doesn't work here. But hey, thanks for joining us.
All
tonight,
right,
folks.
have a good
We'll see you
night. Be
later.
safe.
You guys are still on. Sorry. I can't find the computer. It's on.
Which button
Oh,
is it?
there it is.
There it is.
I found the button.